guys, so you'll have to excuse my hair and makeup. I'm trying to shoot this video while they're asleep, and I definitely didn't have time to get ready, so I decided to just go for it as I was. Anyway, so the question that I'm answering today is one we've been getting from a lot of people, and that is, why do we homeschool? I want to be so clear from the very beginning that I am from education. I taught in 3 different public schools, and I really loved my job. I loved my students, and I know so many teachers. My sister's a teacher, like one of the best teachers I know, and she's making such a difference in the lives of her students, and so are so many of my friends. So from the beginning, I want to make sure that people know, like, we're not anti-public school. We aren't holding our kids from school because we think that teachers don't do a good job. We know and love and appreciate so many amazing teachers that are just doing God's work in the school system. So that's not why we decided to homeschool. So now let's tell you why we are. So reason number 1 has to do with seeds. So this is coming from a class that we took called Married for Life, and it completely transformed our marriage. We'll probably do some more videos on Married for Life. But anyways, one of the lessons is talking about seed, and it talks about how there's life seeds and death seeds, and everything that we say and do in our relationships are either seeds of life or seeds of death, and there's no neutral seeds. So basically, we need to be very intentional with things that we say to our spouse and things that we do to our spouse, because everything is either going to be planting a seed of death or a seed of life. And if you look at your marriage as a garden, why in the world would you be planting weeds and seeds of death into your garden? Why would you not be wanting to plant seeds of life into your own garden? So that got me thinking about things with the kids, and I started thinking okay, everything that is ingrained into them and every person that gets to influence them is going to be planting either seeds of death or seeds of life. And I just decided that I wanted us to have control over what types of seeds were being planted into our children. Number 2 was time. So whenever I was working and Jesse was working, and we had the kids staying with people, and we knew eventually that would turn into the kids going to school. During that time, we were going here, there, and everywhere, and we were doing a lot of important things, but some of the more important things, like spending time as a family, was just kind of getting set to the side and set to the back burner. And that wasn't something that we wanted. Our church had just done a sermon while we were praying about this and trying to figure out if this is what we were going to do, on how a lot of times it's easy to get caught up in the rat race, and you're running your kids to school, and then you're running to work, and then you're getting off work, and then you're picking up your kids, and then you're taking them to practice, and then taking them home and doing their homework with them, and then showering them, and then putting them to bed. And he said, what good would it do if your kid had the highest score on the baseball team or the basketball team, sports team, or even if they had the highest ACT score? What good will all that do if you don't even know the condition of their souls? Because you don't have time to sit and talk with them about that and really pour into them on that level. We really felt like this would give us a more slower paced lifestyle and a lot more time with our family, so that we could run things instead of life running us, if that makes sense. Reason number 3, we get to really prioritize in a way that we want to prioritize as a family, and how we raise our kids. So of course it's a priority that our kids learn reading and writing and math, and I think that they're doing a great job on all of those things so far. But the biggest priority for us was more the character of our kids, and that our kids have a relationship with Jesus. We have time to focus on the Bible during the day and make that a priority, and that is a big deal for us as a family. Not that you can't, you can still prioritize those things if you have both parents working and you're doing public school, you can certainly make time for that during your evenings, but we just weren't good at that. We were not good at balancing being good at our jobs and getting everything done and then getting home and really focusing on the character of 4 little girls. I didn't feel like I was investing in that part of their life how I wanted to be, and I couldn't figure out how to make that happen with the lifestyle that we are leading. And now I have time to really focus on character issues as they happen throughout the day. I can be teaching them about work ethic and kindness and love and being respectful and things like that just as much as I am on math and English and science. Number 4 is a huge one, and it's flexibility. So I am the boss. I get to decide. We always say that I'm the teacher and Jesse's the principal. But so we kind of can talk about things and decide how things are going to go, and we can be as flexible as we need to be with homeschooling. And so first of all, how that can come into play is they get to wake up when their little bodies tell them it's time to wake up. And I just feel like for their moods and for their ability to learn and for their health, that's a really big perk. It normally just takes us like maybe 3 hours to homeschool right now. That'll get longer as they get older. And so I can decide like, well, I don't want to do it in the morning, I want to do it in the afternoon, and I want to go see my grandma in the morning. That's been a big thing. I've got to see both of my grandmas. We make it a point at least once a week to see each of my grandma on one side and then my grandma and grandpa on the other side. And to me, very few things are more valuable than the time that we're getting to spend with them, and I will never regret, having the flexibility to be able to go do that. Travel, we don't get to do a lot of travel just because we are in one income, and we have the homestead here that we're trying to get started with all these animals, but we got to go with Jesse on a work trip to Memphis, which was really nice, and we just schooled there. Field trips, so if we're learning about something and I can find something fun to go do that relates to it, we'll go on a field trip to that place. We just go. We just have the freedom to go and learn from wherever we want to learn, and that can be outside or at a museum or wherever we decide is going to be productive for them that will enhance their education. And they also get to exercise as much as they want. They don't have to sit still. They don't have to sit in a desk. We don't even have desks at our house. A lot of the curriculum that we use is songs, so we can do that. We did that in the pool at the hotel. We could do that in our living room while they're running around. I know especially the twins cannot sit still, and I don't think that they should have to yet. I just think that their little brains aren't even working when they're sitting still. We have the flexibility to like I said, go outside, burn off energy whenever we want, and so that's an awesome perk of the flexibility part of homeschooling. Careful as I say this, because I know that we have prayed about what's best for our family, and everyone else is praying about what's best for their family, and God will call you to do things with your kids and me to do things with mine. So this is a very personal thing that I'm about to say, and it's not something I'm trying to convince anyone else of. But for us, as we prayed and as we observed what was happening kind of in the world right now, we just felt like 5 years old was not the age that our kids should be leaving the house. I know that society tells me that 5 years old is when my kids are supposed to leave. But when I look at the vulnerability of a 5-year-old and how formative those years are in elementary school, I just didn't feel like that was the time in their life where I was going to let them out of my protection, physical, emotional, mental protection. I wanted to still be able to protect them, and I know that the backlash you see sometimes with people that are against that idea is, well, we have to toughen them up sometime, and I'm here to say that I just don't think that time is when they're at 5 years old for us. And after we're done homeschooling, they get to go out into the real world and have people toughen them up then, whenever they already know who they are and they can stand up for themselves. So this is not the only reason that we homeschool. It's not even the main reason that we homeschool, but it was one of the contributing factors to why we homeschooled. We just very strongly, in my mom gut, I felt like it is not the time for my kids. One thing that I've learned is that mom gut that people keep telling us to ignore all the time and get over and shove down. I just don't know that we're supposed to be ignoring that and shoving it down. So reason number 6 is tailored learning. So number 1, they get to pursue their interest. So if they want, we give speeches every week, for example. If they want to give speeches on their goats, they can give speeches on their goats. I have the power to say that whatever they want to learn about, as long as we're covering the things we're supposed to cover, we can do it in a way that they enjoy. Also, their learning style. So every kid has a learning style. Some kids learn best when they read things. Some kids learn best when they hear things. Some are best for visual or hands-on. And when I was a teacher, I would try so hard to create opportunities for kids of all different learning styles to learn whatever our topic was. But it's just a very challenging thing to do with that many kids. So when I have my little 4 students in front of me, I get to kind of address that. The next thing is time. So if they're doing really well in math, I can just let them keep on going. And if they're struggling in reading, I can stop and take 15 more minutes and help them out in reading. And if they really enjoy something, we can spend more time on it. My goal with that is that with tailored learning, and it's working so far, is that they love learning. My girls love learning. They hate when we go on break, that we have a 1-week break coming up after this week of school. They are not looking forward to that. They enjoy learning because we're having them learn in a way that is conducive to what they enjoy. And I feel like the curriculum that we chose is very well suited for that. And I will do another video on why we chose the curriculum that we did. Okay, are you ready? The next one, number 7, is gonna shock you. So it's actually socialization is the next reason that we decided to homeschool our kids. And I know that I thought that was like a big con to homeschooling before we started looking into it. Out of all things, I was the most worried about socialization, and it's turned out to be actually a plus when it comes to homeschooling. And here is why. Because when we are in public school, you're in a class, you're in the 3rd grade, right? You're in a class of 30 3rd graders. There's maybe 20, I don't know. Anyways, so your whole class is your age, and you're pretty much picking friends based on who's in your class. And so you're learning how to socialize with people that are the exact same age as you are. I know I was a high school teacher, and sometimes it's like, well, the freshmen aren't allowed to be friends with the seniors because that's not cool. And I'm like, okay. My kids are friends with people of all ages. They do not have any sort of preconceived notion that they should only be friends with people that are their age. So Ira, our little baby, is one of their best friends, and they have friends at school. Shout out to Charlie, Connor, Levi, and some of those other kids at school that are making friends with my girls that are quite a bit older. So we do go to community 1 day a week, and we do homeschool, or we do field trips with those communities. And if you watch, like, the older kids are playing football with the younger kids, and you see like the 9-year-olds and the 12-year-olds giving my kids piggyback rides. And so some of their best friends are people that are like nowhere near their age, which is awesome, because whenever you go out in the real world and try to get a job, very, very rarely are you going to be working with people that are your age. You're going to be working with people that are much younger than you and much older than you. My kids have no idea that they should be afraid to speak with adults. And they tend to not be shy when it comes to making friends, because like when we go to the park, if they don't know someone, they'll run up and play with that kid because it's their opportunity to make friends. Most of the time at school, you're not really allowed to talk. I mean, like if the teacher's talking, or if you're taking a test, or if you're reading or doing a writing assignment, the nature of that is that you don't get to sit and talk with people the whole time. And you get in trouble if you talk. I got in trouble when I talked all the time in school. Some of the socializing at school is socializing that like maybe you wouldn't particularly want. So there were times when like I would see like a really, really sweet girl, and like she would sit next to one wrong person or have one wrong boyfriend, and like I wouldn't even know who she was anymore after that. And so sometimes I think socialization is a good thing, and sometimes I think it could be a negative thing. Like I'm not going to be lost on who they're hanging out with at school. So socialization is actually, in my experience, both in public schools and homeschooling, I give the thumbs up to homeschooling on socialization, as long as you're intentional about making sure that your kids get to be around other kids. Number 8 is the fact that because I'm the mom and I'm teaching all the subjects, I know what's going on in all of their education compartments. Does that make sense? If we're driving around in the car and I see something on the side of the road that relates to something that we learned in science, or we're learning something in history and we're watching the news and I'm like, McKinley, look, this is something that we learned about in history. It's just really cool to be able to like see those light bulbs go off as a mom, and then be able to like connect them throughout the day, every day. We're never not learning. Just so you know, when you're a homeschool mom, you just never stop teaching your kids, like all day long. Everything relates to something that you're doing in school, and you make everything educational. Okay, number 9, bullying. So about bullying at school, I don't know that I think that every single thing that every single person is calling bullying actually is bullying, but as a teacher, I do know that bullying is happening in schools, and it is a serious problem. I want my kids to grow up into whoever they want to be, and I don't want them to become a specific type of person to not be picked on by someone, or to fit in with a specific person. I want them to grow up without the mold. Okay, so like in public school, I struggled with this. I did not fit into a mold. I was kind of weird, and I was always feeling like, oh, something's wrong with me because I'm not like so-and-so. I didn't all the way fit into this group, and I didn't all the way fit into this group. And I had like self-esteem problems from that. And looking back, like I think that I was a pretty cool kid, and I did not know that because I felt like I was trying to be like somebody else. And I do know, as a teacher, I saw a lot of anxiety and a lot of heartache coming from kids that were just really sweet, good kids, and I just always wished like those kids could just be themselves because they were beautiful, like inside and out, and I hated seeing other people bring those kids down. So whenever I think that my kids are old enough to be able to go out and change the world instead of the world changing them, that's when I won't be worried about that anymore. And at that point, they'll have just like a really strong sense of like who they are and who God wants them to be, and they will hopefully be very strong in that, and then they can go out and make the world like a better place. I honestly feel like I am raising like an army for God, and I want them to be able to go out and be strong and be that army. Shout out to all of my students that were not afraid to do that, and that remain yourself. I just think that's the coolest thing ever, and I just feel sad that that's a struggle for some of you. Okay, the last thing, I know how much I loved all of my students. I know that I would have done anything for them, and so many teachers feel like that too. But when it comes down to it, nobody knows my child like I do. Nobody understands my child like I do. Nobody loves my child like I do. No one is as invested in their education as I am. And God gave them to me, and He made me their mom, and He made me equipped with every single thing that I need to be able to teach them. And so I feel like I want to put their education and their character and everything that they're about to be in the hands of myself, because I'm the person that cares the most about who they end up becoming. And I know it's probably sad, but that's not true for a lot of parents. A lot of times the teacher is the person that cares the most about that student, and a lot of times the teacher cares about that student more than they care about themselves. And I think that is so sad, and for that I am so thankful for public educators, because those kids need you. They really do. But for my kids, I just feel like, I am the most equipped person to teach my kids. And it's not because I am an education major. I haven't had to use very much of what I learned as an educator to homeschool my kids. I follow the curriculum, and I love my kids and teach them in the way that I know that they will learn. And I know that because I'm their mom, not because I have a degree in education. So if you are a public school mom, or a working mom, or a public school teacher, please know that I admire you. I could not hold it all together as a working mom. If I was ever going to go back to work, it would be in public education. So it is in no way anything against public school teachers or moms of kids in public school, but if you are a mom that is feeling God knocking on your heart about this, know that you're equipped to do it, and know that I'm rooting for you, and if you have any questions, you can let me know. And every mom just has to do what she's prayed about and feels that God is calling her to do. So those are my top 10 reasons of why we homeschool. Stay tuned for another video of how we chose the program that we did. It is just like unbelievable and super interesting. So make sure that you watch. Even if you're a teacher, you might want to watch this video, because it's a really unique way of learning that as an educator I am fascinated by. So anyway, until next time, we love you, and we're praying for you here at Reckless Love Homestead.